Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing a video that's a bit different to what I normally put out. It's going to be a video that was requested by one of the Pensec subscribers. It's basically, I'm going to be covering some of the basic Linux commands, especially leaning towards Kali Linux, some of the usage of the different folders used in Kali and again Linux, as well as some shortcut keys that are coming useful, and then I'll be also discussing some commands that are specifically leaning towards pen testing or ethical hacking. Some of this will be a bit basic, but I'm hoping that even anyone who's watching this video, even if you know most of what I do go through, you will get at least something from it. Okay, as I said, this was requested by one of the Pensec subscribers, so this one is for you, Nimrod. Okay, let's get going. First of all, I want to discuss the most basic commands that we're going to go. I'm going to go through these quite quickly, as I'm pretty sure most of you will be aware of what these do anyway. But just in case, I'm going to go through them now. These are going to be the commands that you're going to use on the command line to go through your file system. The first one we're going to discuss is CD, or call directory. Now CD basically will go to any path you specify. You can put an actual path you want, a direct path such as root desktop, and it will go there. And please be aware, in Linux, unlike Windows and some other OSs out there, it is case sensitive. So if I'd have put CD root desktop without the capital D, it actually wouldn't have gone to my desktop. I have to use the capital D there because Linux is case sensitive, so please be aware of that. Okay, now with CD, as I said, it's call directory and it's used to move about the file system. If you don't use a direct path, you can actually use regular type expressions such as one dot signifies the folder you're in, two dots signifies the folder above you. So that'll take me back to my root directory. Let me just go back to my desktop a moment. So if I just put one dot desktop, I'm sorry I did that wrong. As you see, I didn't actually put a capital D there, so it didn't actually take me anywhere. There's no such folder called desktop without a capital D. Like I mentioned earlier, it is case sensitive. So that's a good example of that. There you go. Now, you can also use the two dots like I just showed you to go up a directory, to go up as many directories as you want. So this way we'll go up two directories. So that'll take me to my root of my hard drive. So if I just show you, that's actually my hard drive root. I will be going through what each of these folders is used for later on in the video. Let me go back to my root directory. Okay, that's CD, or call directory. Now if you want to copy a file, you simply use copy, CP, and the source and then the destination. So say I wanted to copy a file called file to my desktop. That would then copy a file called file to my desktop. Notice you can use relative paths or just the file name if it's in the current directory that you're in at the moment. There isn't actually a file called file in the directory I'm in, so there's no point in me running the command, but if there was, it'd copy it to my desktop. Obviously, being copy, it'd take a copy of it, leaving, just like Windows and anything else, it'd leave the original file in place and just make a copy of it onto my desktop. Whereas if I wanted to move it, I'd use move, MV. It's exactly the same format. You use the destination, say root file, means I'm in the root directory. I could just use file. And again, say I want to put it to my desktop. Simple as that, I'd move it there. When you want to rename a file, in Linux you actually move the file to a new name. So Say there was a file called file like we've just been using. If I wanted to rename it file 4 for example, I'd just move it into a new file called file 4. Exactly the same as copy, move from file to file 4 in the current directory. That's how you rename using move. Okay, I am going through these pretty quick because I'm pretty sure you're all aware of these. I just wanted to cover them just in case. Now if you want to make a directory, you use mkdir, make directory, and the name of your directory. Say I want a directory called del in this current directory. You can use an exact path there if you want to create it somewhere that you're in a different folder than you're currently in, but I'll create a folder called del in the directory I'm in at the moment. That's how you make a directory. Now to delete something you use the remove command. That's rm for remove and whatever you want to delete. If it's a file you just type the name. If it's in the path you want, if it's in a different path, just like copy and move, you actually put the path if it's not in the folder you're in, and then the file name. Now if you want to delete a directory you have to use -r for recursive and then del. That'll delete the del directory I've just made. Sorry, my bad. -rf. It didn't actually, it's not that why it didn't actually work then was because I didn't put .del to specify from the current directory. But also if you put -rf, you might as well get into that habit. It's actually recursive and delete any files from subdirectories as well. So it's a good habit to get into to delete directories to use -rf, .del. Or in fact I could just put del as I'm already in that directory. There you go. So to delete a directory, -r or -rf to delete any files in the directory. In fact, if there is files in the directory, it's a good habit just to use that when you're deleting directories, -rf, just in case there is files in there, else you'll get an error. That's how you delete something. Remember, if you're deleting a file you don't need the -rf, that's just recursively and includes files. Okay. If you want to create a new file, you use the touch command. That'll create an empty file. Okay, and then you can do whatever you want with that file, turn it into a text file or whatever you want to do. It's basically an empty file. It's allocated a bit of space to a file called file in our case. Let me just remove that. So you create a new file. And then those are the basic file system commands. Let me clear my screen. To read a file or the text of any file, you can use cat. What that does, it basically displays the text of a file on the actual terminal itself. So I know there's a file called log. As you know, if you press tab once you've started typing anything, it'll actually fill it in. If there's a few things there beginning with Y, it'd actually show me the ones. If I press tab, it'd say basically there's a couple of files beginning with Y, so I could type another letter to narrow down what I want it to choose. And once there's no more, there's only one selection, it'll fill it in for me. You can actually use tab with commands as well. That's cat. Now the thing with cat, if it's a big file, got a lot of text like the log I've just shown you, it'll actually scroll right to the end. So you'll have to use the scroll wheel or the arrow keys. Well, you can't actually use the arrow keys. The scroll wheel on your mouse to go up and down once you're in a terminal. Now you can actually use the more command if you want to start at the beginning of a file. This will give you a bit more control, but it's very similar to cat. So if I type more, let's tab that to auto complete it. It'll start at the beginning. There to go. If you press enter, it goes down line by line. If I press space, it goes down page by page. There are other things you can do within more. For example, I could press / and I don't know, time, and it'll search the document for the word time. There you go. It actually happened to be near the top of the last page. That's more. Gives you a bit more control. Cat will just scroll through the old text in the file. More will give you a bit more control, allowing you to go down page by page. You'll find most keys on the keyboard will do something while you're within more. It's basically a simplified text editor of sorts. If you press V while you're within the more command, it'll actually take you to the Vim text editor. If you don't know how to use Vim and you find it hard to get out of Vim, I'm not going to cover it in this tutorial, as it'll take an old tutorial on its own. Vim will. It's quite a powerful text editor. But if you do play around with more and press V and find yourself within Vim and can't get out of it, simply press colon, which is shift and semicolon on my keyboard, and then Q for quit and enter. Okay, that's more. More's basically the same as cat, but it's got a few more functions and allows you to go down page by page or line by line. Less is very similar to more, but works a bit differently and has a few extra commands. If you want to help with any of the commands I'm discussing here, see what other options they have, you can always type tac help, or a lot of the times just tac H for help. In this case, it's tac H help. Most of them will be just tac H for help, but some you will have to type tac help, like the less command, and that'll put in a window just like this. Now, if sometimes you'll find that the help command isn't actually giving you as much details as you want. Another one that you need the full help. It's showing what things do, but you want a bit more details about that command or program, and for that situation you type man for manual and then the command, and it'll show the actual manual. This will be in exactly the same format as more. You can press enter to go down line by line, or space to go down page by page. Q to quit. As it says here, you can press H for more keyboard shortcuts within your manual. So that's man, cat, more, and the help functions. Let me clear my screen. Okay, those are the basic commands you need to know. Oh, another one I should really cover is echo. Echo will basically echo something onto the terminal. Now you may think that sounds a bit of a pointless command, just echoing something you've already typed, but that'll come into play a bit later when I explain what some of the symbols do. That's echo. There is actually more you can do with echo, such as text conversions with echo tac E, but I won't go into that. I'll leave that for you to type man, echo, and have a look yourself at the different things you can do. Like I said, there is a lot more you can do with echo. It's all to do with writing things to the screen. The main function you'll usually use for is writing things to the screen and then piping them elsewhere, which I will be going into if you don't know what I'm on about. That's what echo does. Echoes it back to the screen. Okay, let me clear. Let me just quickly discuss what some symbols do before I go any further. First I want to discuss double amper. What that basically means is and then. If you think of it that way, a double amper means and then. So basically, if I put one command, I don't know, echo 123, and then with double amper, echo 456, it will run the first command, and then when that command's finished it will run the second command. So that's double amper. You can imagine the power that that will enable you to have. You can run one command, and when it's finished you run the next command. Just like that. It runs the first command, when that's finished it runs the next one. This is what's so powerful about the Linux command line. It has a lot of symbols like these which enables you to do a lot more than run one command one by one. You can actually feed commands into each other, run them one after the other and such like that. Another symbol is a single amper. This means and also. So remember, the double one is and then. Run that command and then run this command. Single one is and also. So if I put echo 123, single amper for and also, run I don't know, make directory del, you'll find this will actually run these two commands at the same time. So it will be echoing 123 while it's also making a directory called del. Don't worry about the extra information it's giving me at the moment. That's a bit more detailed in what's actually happening there, but as far as you want to think of it as now, to not confuse you, single amper basically means and also. You run one command and also run this command at the same time. If you've ever watched my WPS cracking videos that I put out on YouTube, you'll notice I did use a single amper when I was using something called the mdk3 command, which basically de-authed a person off their access point. So you could put up a fake access point. I think it was now. You de-authed them so you could crack the WPS. I can't remember why I used it, to be honest, but I did use it, and I put 3 MDK3 commands on a single line, separating them with a single and also. So it ran all 3 at the same time basically. That's what it does. And also, and then. Okay, let me clean my screen. Very handy symbols to remember. As you delve more into Linux and learn more commands, you'll begin understanding the power of using these symbols. Okay, another useful symbol is, this is actually the same as a Windows symbol. This is star or the asterisk. This is basically a wildcard. So how could I put an example for this? Now, don't worry about what this command does at the moment, I will go into it. Say I wanted to search the apt package manager for any Python commands, Python 3 begin with M, and then I'll put a star or asterisk. That's a wildcard, so it'd search for anything in apt, that's what this part of the command does, beginning with Python M, or as Python M in the description. There's going to be a lot, so okay. That's what an asterisk does. I'm sure you're aware of that. It's exactly the same in Windows. It's a wildcard. Let me clear my screen. Okay. Now, if you put exclamation mark on any command, such as echo, this will repeat the last time you use that command, even if it's not directly before this command. The last time I used echo, it will now show me here. So remember when I did echo 123 and also make directory? It's now run that command again. So it runs the last time you ran the command, it does it again. As you can see, it can't make the directory because it already created it when I first did it. In fact, let me remove that directory in case I forget. Okay. That's what asterisk in the command does. The last time you use that command in this terminal sessions as I had, it'll run it again. Now you can actually put 2 exclamation marks and it'll run the last command used. There's really no point of that in the terminal, as you can simply press the up arrow to get the same thing. But it is useful when you do bash scripting. Double exclamation mark, the last command used. Okay. Okay, now some of the most powerful symbols you can use are the greater than. and likewise the less than, but we'll focus on greater than. What this does is output one command to a file type. For example, if I put echo 1, this is actually a command that is very useful for pen testers. Echo 1 greater than, use this path, proc /sys/net/IPv4, oops, IPv4/IP/forward. Now, this is how you actually turn on port forwarding in Linux, or in Kali in this instance, which is obviously a flavour of Linux. It runs this command, which echoes 1 to the screen, and instead of echoing it to the screen, it will run this command and put its output, that's what this does, to the next command, to the next file, which in our case is in this, the file IP forward, in this path. That's actually how you turn on port forwarding. So that's actually useful to remember the old command, echo 1 greater than, to output it to this file, IP forward, on this path, proc sysnet IPv4 IP_forward. So remember, that's how to enable port forwarding. So that's greater than. The output of the first command goes into the file of the next. So one command greater than and a file. So for example, I could echo 1234. You don't have to use echo to output, that's just a good example. You could use cat or anything that will give you any type of output. So I want to put it in one.text. Oops, notice the apostrophe there, that's put me in a different shell. But don't worry about that at the moment. Okay. Now that's created a file called one.text, and it's simply put 1234 in it. So let's just have a look at that. Cat one.text 1234. So it's put the output of echo 1234, and the output of that, using the greater than, is put into this file. So that's greater than, very, very useful. Let me just remove that file. Now likewise, if you want to put the output of one command into another command rather than a file, you use the pipe symbol. So say okay, say cat the Yersinia log again, like we looked at earlier. The pipe is basically the straight down line. On a UK keyboard, that's just to the right of my left shift, above the backslash, and it's shift and backslash. I don't know where it'll be on any other keyboard, but I'm sure you'll be able to find it. That's the pipe symbol. It's basically a straight vertical line. And that's exactly the same as the greater than, except for the output doesn't go to another file, it goes to another command. I'm sure you can begin to see the power now that these symbols can give you. So if I want to cat Yersinia log, i.e. show all the text of it, don't worry about what this command does at the moment, I will be discussing it in a while. grep. What it basically does is it searches for a line within whatever the file it's given. There you go. I basically search for that within this, which is here, look, and it showed me the line it's on. I could have searched for anything. I could have searched for pcap, for example, and it would have showed me every line with the word pcap on it. Grep pcap would have showed me all the pcap lines, although there would have been a lot of them in that file. So as you can see, the pipe symbol, the vertical line, is exactly the same as greater than. You output the left hand command to the right hand command. Unlike the greater than, you output the left hand command to a file, usually a text file, but it can be any file type. You can actually do this with programs as well. Say I ran some type of web app program where I was searching for IP addresses, for example, on some DNS server, all the subdomain IPs. I could then use greater than output.txt, for example, and instead of putting all the results on the screen, it put them in a text file for me. And that would work with more or less any program or command, the same as the pipe command. I'm sure you can see the useful of those, and more uses of these will come in time. You'll think of more uses for them as you go. They're very powerful commands. Okay, clear my screen. That's some of the most useful symbols. Okay.